We're back after a long time in lockdown at last with the first of very many reviews on some really nice motorcycles, and we're starting off today with a full review of this Honda CB1100RS.
So this bike retails at £9,999 in the UK, and it's a hell of a lot of a bike for the money.
Now, first impressions when you get on this bike, you start it up, it's got a lovely exhaust note and it feels like it's going to be a powerful motorbike, and moving away for the first time, it's ever so easy to ride. So if you've just passed your test, say, and got your full license, and you were to get one of these and get on, you'd be alright with it. It looks after you and you can get on and ride it quite easily straight away.
So it's a 1100cc air-cooled inline-4 engine, and it's silky smooth and it does make a really nice noise. So the good thing with this bike, it shows you on the display what your miles per gallon is, and on this test ride we've been getting about 50 miles per gallon, and that's a combination of riding it gently and giving it some. It's got a 16.8 litre fuel tank, and you'll probably get around 180 to 200 miles range from it depending on how you ride it.
Now, if you look at the dimensions of this bike, it's got a 26-degree rake, that's the steepness of the forks, and a 99mm trail. I won't explain what that means, but basically that gives you a very sharp handling bike, combined with the wheelbase, which is relatively short, 1485mm if I remember correctly. So a relatively short wheelbase, a steep rake and a short trail give you a sharp handling bike, and this bike is really good in the corners, so whatever you throw at it, this bike will handle it.
So it's got adjustable progressive suspension, so you can set it up for your weight and how you want it to handle. Piggyback shocks on the rear, and the conventional forks on the front, not upside down forks.
Now on this bike you've got 17-inch wheels, which are the same diameter as the wheels on the Fireblade. That's another reason why it handles so well, and it's basically designed to be like a 1970s race bike with a sort of hint of cafe racer in it. So the styling is very retro and very classic but minimalistic, so I really like the look of this bike. It's a beautiful bike. You could go anywhere on it. I could imagine being Prince Harry or someone, I don't know if he rides, but if you turned up somewhere very smart on this bike, it would look the part. So it's a very nice looking bike to turn up on.
An alternative version of this bike would be the 1100EX, which has 18-inch spoked wheels, so it's more of a sort of less racy style. Also, the forks on the EX are slightly less steep. They are 28 degrees, so that will mean that it's not quite as nimble in the corners as this is.
So the seat height on this is 31.2 inches from the ground, and I'm 6'3". How does it look on for me? I can't really tell because I'm sitting on it.
It looks okay. It doesn't look too small. Perhaps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean most bikes are sort of built for people who are on average 5'10" in height. So if you're that height, most bikes will fit you. Anything above and below that, obviously, the further away from that ideal height you get, the worse it will be for you. But I would say it's okay. I mean, it feels quite roomy in this respect. So from my seat to my hands, I feel like I've got a lot of room, and there's plenty of room behind for a passenger or to move. And the nice thing about this, you've got the flat seat. You haven't got one of these scooped seats, so you can move about on the seat and get the position you want depending on how you're riding, where you're going. So yeah, size-wise, probably I'm as tall as you'd want to be for it. But you could ride it if you were taller, but you might look a little bit like you're too big for it.
As a comparison, I'm 6'1". I probably look a little bit less massive on it, but it's still, I mean, it feels fine for me.
Yeah, it looks alright actually. Yeah, I'd probably say I'm at the top of the range really, looking at you.
Yeah, I think so.
Now this engine is very smooth, and it has 88.5 horsepower at 7,500 RPM. The torque's at 5,500 RPM. That's 91 newton meters of torque. But what that feels like in the real world, this engine will pull from very low revs and not complain at all. And once you reach sort of above 3,000 RPM, you can really feel the power coming. And the more you open it up, the more it will go. So you've got plenty of torque, plenty of power, and it delivers it extremely well. Once you get above, say, I suppose about 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, you do feel a little bit of vibration, but not too much, and it's nothing to worry about.
So you've got two analog dials here, one for the RPMs and one for the speed, and then there's a little display in the middle which shows you your MPG, the range and what gear you're in, but that's a little bit hard to see in the sun if you've got tinted goggles or a visor on.
Now, the one limitation of this bike is the rider, because whether you're inexperienced, like I said earlier, and you've just passed your test, you can get on this bike, it'll look after you, you can build your confidence and build your skills. If you are a skilled, experienced rider, you can do anything you like on this bike. You could literally get it by the scruff of the neck and give it a damn good ride.
I've just noticed the sun's come out and the paint looks fantastic. It's quite sort of dull looking in the when it's cloudy, but you see this metallic flake come out when the sun's out, so that looks really nice. It's got alloy wheels, double disc brakes at the front, double hooters here, conventional forks, and it's got lots of black and chrome, which I think looks really nice, and it's got two 2-in-1 exhausts, which I think look really pretty, all in chrome, and it's nice to see the 4 pipes at the front.
Coming to the rear of the bike, you've got a nice beefy aluminium swing arm, or if you're American, aluminum. A nice piece of metal here with the front and the rear pegs, and you've got the rear pull-out pegs for the passenger. One of the problems with bikes like this is you do scuff your exhaust pipes if you're not careful with your heels, so you've got to be careful of doing that, but obviously we haven't. But it's a nicely made bike with some nice bits of metal and nice pieces on it, so a good looking retro style motorcycle.
One good thing about this bike, getting on and off, is quite easy to hit stuff. So these indicators are on a flexi sort of stalk, so you're not going to snap that off.
One thing we must mention, we have a whole range of really good merchandise. We've got Mr. Darcy and the Old Man t-shirts now. The link will be in the description below. We've got lots of different styles, some with our branding on, some without, all sort of motorcycle inspired. So there's some really great t-shirts, and they've got a really nice back print as well. So please check out our store, and we really appreciate your support. If you could buy something, that'd be great.
So here's another one of the designs. This one doesn't have our name on the front, it's kind of just motorcycle related. There's plenty more different styles, and it's not just t-shirts, it's literally hoodies, phone cases, etc. So definitely check it out.
The bike weighs 252 kilograms, which is about the sort of average weight for this sort of bike, but it doesn't feel heavy because it's so well balanced and so well made.
A main comparable bike to this would be a Triumph Speed Twin. It's a bit more powerful, a bit more torquey, but it is quite a bit shorter, and the rake of the forks is quite a bit steeper, so if you're over 5'11", it's probably a no-go.
So the Honda CB1100RS, our verdict. Thumbs up, really. It's a beautiful bike, it's a beautifully styled motorcycle, it's classy, it's very fast, it handles beautifully, but it suits everybody. It'll suit beginners who've just passed their test, as I said before, and it will suit experienced riders as well. So it's something for everyone, and you can't go wrong. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done already. We really appreciate your support, and we'd like to know your comments about the bike, good or bad. Just tell us what you think. If you've got one, let us know what it's like. Any questions you've got about it, that would be great too. So all the comments below will be fantastic to read, and we'll reply to them all.